the trip that's taking place to the Great Lakes, and so I wanted to know how the decision was made. It was a notice was sent out by your office saying that journalists could go on the trip, and I wanted to know. I asked to go on the trip, and I'm not going. I did go in 2010, but as a sort of more proactively, more systematically. I wanted to know how the decisions are made. Which journalists accompany the Security Council? Is it made by the Secretariat, or is it made by the Security Council as a whole, or by particular members of the Security Council? Because I've checked with other members who lead legs of the trip, and they were not informed. So I wanted to know from you how the decision was made.
This was taken in consultation with the lead mission from the Security Council for the entire trip.
But who did, I mean, for example, the final leg of the trip has no French involvement at all. It's co-led by Azerbaijan and another country. So I'm wondering,
Matthew,
who made the decision?
Listen, I'm happy. I don't think the rest of the press corps is specifically interested in your travel arrangements,
No,
and I'm happy
there are no travel arrangements, but I think a single standard is important.
your lack of travel arrangements, and I'm happy to discuss that further with you outside of the briefing room. Yes, Timothy.
We'll just go to Matthew first.
Okay, thanks a lot. On behalf of the Free UN Coalition for Access, thanks for the stakeouts that you did this month. You did pretty much, there was one Abyei one that got delayed, but thanks a lot. I wanted to, you referred a couple of times to pen holders, and yourself being the pen holder and other pen holders. So I wanted to ask you about that in the context of the DRC and also the Central African Republic. For the DRC, I wanted to know about this upcoming trip. If you can say what the goals of the trip are and how the decision-making was, in the sense of, it's my understanding that the pen holder on DRC, France, selected even up to and including what journalists are able to go on the trip. So I wanted to know, is that the case? Are there other leg leaders for Rwanda and Uganda and Addis, and how that selection may relate to the colonial history of the area? And also, and what the goals of the trip are, basically, and how they were decided. And on CAR, the same thing was said in August, that there was going to be action and there wasn't. So I wonder, now, you're in the council, and you said you're concerned about it, but for 2 months there have been a variety of humanitarian groups and the Secretary General, everyone's saying it's falling apart, there's no humanitarian access, Seleka is running wild. So what explains the lack of production of the council in your month on that topic? Thanks.
Matthew, on the first question, I'm not going to confirm or not confirm whether the council is making a visit anywhere shortly. There are various reasons, including security reasons, where until it's a visit is announced officially by those responsible for it, I'm not in a position to do so. If the council were making a visit, I would anticipate, if it were going to a number of countries, that a number of countries would be involved in the organisation of it, so that several countries would be involved. But on questions related to this, I'm afraid you really do need to address them to the Secretariat, but council members are clear that we're not making comments on council travel that might or might not happen in the future.
I think MONUSCO did. I just want to say that MONUSCO has made a series of announcements about the trip.
I haven't seen those, I have to say, yes, all right. I'll read them after this meeting and see what they've said. The Central African Republic, look, there's been a joint assessment mission which has now completed its work, and the Secretary General submitted an advance copy of its report to the Council, I think, late last week, for us to look at. Our anticipation is that will be looked at quickly. Certainly speaking nationally for Australia, it's been our concern for a few months that we needed to address the situation in CAR, and urgently, given the magnitude of the crisis. It's not only lawlessness in a general sense, it is of course a major humanitarian crisis, and even bigger crisis in some ways on the human rights front. We're aware of that. There were discussions here, of course, in New York at a ministerial level meeting last Thursday, I think, by some of the key actors to try and galvanise a renewed sense of what precisely is the problem, now what do we need to do. Now, I would anticipate, and I understand, I was not present at the meeting, but I understand it made a good deal of progress in setting out a direction which now needs to come back to the Council when we discuss the SG's report. As I say, I expect that will be real soon.
We'll just have a follow-up question here, and then we'll go to Evelyn, please.